All right, back to our Java games. We're doing Tic Tac Toe. In this video, let's make the player move and the computer move. So we'll start off with the player because the player is a little easier. Um, maybe not, depends on how you look at it. So let's come down here and let's roll this up. I like to roll my methods up that I've already created unless we need to get into it for some reason. Um, to me, it just makes your um, game look a little cleaner. So anyway, so let's do this. So this is going to be void, and this is going to be player move. Don't take any data. And so what do we need to do here? Well, again, we're getting user input, and anytime I'm getting user input, I'm going to do my Boolean and do my do while here. Because if they input a bad value, I want to be able to. Mouse just fell down over there. Good for the mouse. Um, and so we're going to do our do while. And again, the first thing that we do is we make sure that it is set to false. And so now, and then we put our while down here. And then, all right, so now what we need to do is, we actually have another method we're going to have to do also, but we'll take care of that in a second. So let's get our number, and we're going to get that from where? From get here. Now what we need to do, we have a user input. We need to verify, is this a good number? Now we could do a couple of if statements and do, is it 1 to 9? And then we'd have to do more checks. But what we want to do is let's check against our hash map. So let's come down here and let's create another method here. And it's going to, actually this is going to return true. So we'll do Boolean. I'm pretty sure that's what I did before. Sometimes I have to go over here and look and see what I did, just to verify, because yeah, we returned true or false. Okay, that's what I thought I did. Okay, so we're going to come down here and we're just going to call this check square. And so what we're going to pass it is going to be an integer, and we want the square that we're checking. Excuse me. So this is going to be a really long process here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if character, and then so we're going to use is digit. And so what we're going to pass it is a character. Well, what character? And what we're going to look at is we are going to get our square, and then we're going to get the number, which is what we're checking on. Now, that returns a string. We need a character. So we're going to do @0. And so if that's true, so if that's 2, we're going to return a true. And then if it's false, then we're just going to return false. That's how we're going to check our board. And you know what? Look at this. Watch this. We can actually, if we come up here, sometimes IntelliJ does have simplification. We're going to just make it into one line. So we're just going to return character is digit of this. So if this is a digit, it returns true. If it's not a digit, it returns false. And so, and you can say, well, why don't you just put that up here in your method for the player? Well, we're also going to need this same check for the computer. So we'll put it in a method so we only have to write it once, call it many times. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say if, and now we're going to do check number, because that's the square we're going to check. If that's true, then we are going to take our square, and then we are going to replace number, comma. Now we need to actually, we're going to put the player in there. So if he's X, it'll put X. If he's O, it'll put O. So now we just did that. And so now we're going to come down here and we are going to do else. Okay. So if this is anything other than it works, then we're going to put down here, I don't know, what do you want to say? Invalid input, try again. So we'll do, yeah, we'll do that. Invalid input. Did I misspell invalid? Probably. It's A. What did I do? Get my L and my A, and I, and yes, I did. Invalid input. And we'll just try again. Okay. And then we will set our do it again to true here. So that will make them loop through again and get this. And if it's already done, we've already made our player move. So now we have player move is done. And so let's do, man, roll that up, Bucko. So now let's do computer move. And again, it's going to be void. And me and my typing. And again, it's not going to take anything. So how is the computer going to move? Well, for right now, to a simple game version, we are going to randomly pick a square and hope it doesn't have anybody in it. If it does have somebody in it, if there's already somebody in it, then we'll need to pick another number. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an integer of number, and we could have just copied that other part probably. So what we're going to do is do while, and we want to make sure this is set to false. So if it only goes through one time, that's fine. If it goes through another time, that's another. So let's go ahead and get our while set up here, and then that way that's done. And so let's come up here, and so let's say number is going to be equal to random, and we want to do the next integer. And so what we really want is we want 1 through 9. So let's do 10, which would give us 0 through, actually we want to do, we want to do 9, which is 0 through 8. If we add 1, that makes it 1 through 9 now. So that gives us that. So now we're going to do our check square, pass it our number, and if it's true, in other words, if it's okay, if there's really a number there, then we're going to take our square and we're going to do replace number, and this time we're going to put the computer symbol in there. And then we're going to say else here, and this time all we're going to do is just set do it again is equal to true. And so it's going to keep looping until it randomly finds a square that has no number. So we have done this. So look, we could actually, let's go ahead and go into our gameplay here. And so we're going to need a couple of things up here, I think. So let's do actually let's do a Boolean. We're going to call this one done is equal to false. And then we need a number, and we're going to call this one rounds. O-U-N-D-S. And we're going to set it to 0. Actually, we'll set it to 1. Okay, and then what we're going to come down here is we're going to do is we're going to do while. And we're going to do not done. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. So what are we going to do here? Well, so we know that we've already picked the sides. We've already who goes turn. So let's actually do an if, and we're going to we call this whose turn. If it's true, then it's going to be the player. So let's call player moves. And then if it's not the player, then it's got to be the computer. So we're going to call computer moves. Okay, and then after this, we're going to do a couple things. So we're going to take whose turn it is, and we're going to toggle whose turn it is. So every other time it'll go, no matter who starts, it's going to go. And then our rounds, let's increment rounds. And then we also can come in here and say if rounds is greater than 9, then we can stop the game because we know that nobody has won the game. We went all 9 squares have been used up and there is no more. So we're going to say done is equal to true. And then we might print a message, say something like, sorry, no one won. Like that. And that will end our loop and the game's over. So if we play this right now, what we also need to do is let's display the board, or let's display round first. So we're going to say round, and then we're going to give it the round so we know it's the round. Let's put a space after that, and then let's display the board. Whoops. And so let's call display board. Okay, so that's going to display the board, and then depends on who's playing, it's going to display. So let's run it. And so it's going to ask us our questions. We'll say 1, we're going to say 2, and as you can see here, let's scroll this up. So it looks like round 1 went to the computer, so it printed a board, and then he went. Now it's our turn, and he must have picked 7. Now this is not very intuitive here because it's not telling us anything. And so I don't know what I just hit there. That's weird. So let's stop the game. Let's go over to our player move, and let's go at the beginning of the loop. Let's put a message in here. So let's say something like enter square number. And then I'm going to, again, I kind of like it so it's on the same line. So now we know, so if we play it now, it's a little more intuitive. So now when we come up here and we're going to have here, we'll do 1 and we're going to do 2. We'll do tails this time. And looks like the computer went first. And so now you see that it asks us for a thing. And we can see that the player or the computer picked that. So let's pick 5. So we're going to do 5. And as you can see, 5 was filled in. Now he picked 1. So let us pick 4. Okay. And then he picked 3 that time. So I'm going to do 6. And we do have Tic Tac Toe, but we have not put any logic in here to actually figure that out. So we need to go and figure out who the winner is. So let's see where we're at on our time for our video. We are at 15 minutes. Let's see if we can cram that one in here. So we're going to just stop the game. And so let's look at the board while we're here. So how many ways is there to win tic-tac-toe? Well, there's the 3 rows, so that's 3. There's 3 columns, that's 6. And then we have 2 diagonals. So that means there's a total of 8 different possible combinations of tic-tac-toe to actually win. So let's go and let's create a method here. Let's roll these things up. And let's see, that's our gameplay. We'll leave him expanded. And so let's see, let's check for winner. All right, so void, and we're going to do check win. And so now it's not going to pass it anything. And so we know that there are 8 possible combinations. So because we know there is 8, we can do a regular for loop. And we're going to do 1, and I is less than 9 will give us 8, which is what we want. And so we're going to use a switch. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the switch, but we're going to use a switch. Switch is kind of a glorified if. Instead of saying if I is equal to 1, if I is equal to 2, this will do it for us. They're called cases. So we're going to have case 1, and then we'll do a break, and then we're going to do case 2, and then we'll do a break, and then we're going to do case 3 and a break. And so until we get to all 8 cases have been laid out. And so we're just gonna, you can just listen to me ramble on or something, I don't know. Pause the video, speed up the video, whatever you guys want to do. So anyway, I'm just setting this up, and I'm trying to type as fast as I can. I'm not the world's fastest typist. Being dyslexic, you know, has lots of drawbacks. And then we have 8. Now 8, we don't need to put a break because there's nothing comes after 8. So let's look at how are we actually going to test to see if this is true. Well, first of all, we need to figure out, are we testing for the computer? Or are we testing for a player? So that's going to be the first thing we need to figure out. What we're doing is, you know, which one are we actually checking to see. So what we want to do is, let's go back to our method here, and let's put a space. I don't know why I like a space there. I just do. So let's input a as I'm thinking about this, I'm choking. We're gonna make it a Boolean, and then we're gonna input a string, and we're gonna call it letter. And so what we're gonna do is our first case is gonna be, we'll write it and then we'll copy and paste a whole bunch. So we're going to say if, and so we're going to say if we go back to look at our grid, so we're going to say if square 1 and square 2 and square 3 are all the same, then that is a tic-tac-toe. So let's go back over here now. So what we're going to say is if square get, we want to get 1, and we want to do what of get 1? Well, we want to say, is it equal to the letter? If it's a number, it won't be equal to it. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to come down here, and we're going to do the exact same thing, except this time it's going to be 2, because we're looking at, and we probably don't have to do the ignore case, but I'm just in the habit of usually doing that one, just because it I don't know how many times it's saved me from stupidity things or whatever. Okay, what the heck is going on here? I can't, my fingers aren't walking right. All right, so this is going to be get 3, and again, if it is equal to the letter, so if it was the player we were tested, it would pass the player symbol, and vice versa. And so it looks like we need one of these, and then we can do like this, and let's just turn true, because it is true. So we've already figured out that if this square is correct, then it is. So that's row 1. So we're going to copy this, come down here, and we're going to do row 2. And I hate when it copies it. It doesn't keep my little format the way I had it. So this is going to be, so this will be 4, 5. Whoa, what's going on here? I'm hitting all kinds of buttons here. 5 and 6. Okay, so let's just, so we're going to, and again, don't have to do this. I just like it like this. Okay, so this one is going to be 7. This will be 8, and this will be 9. So now we can come down here. Now that was the rows. Now we're going to be doing columns. So columns have a little different number sequence here that we're going to do. So it's going to be 1 there. It'll be 4 here, and then 7 here. So we'll do the next column. And the next column is going to be 2. And it's going to be 5. That's not a 5. And then 7. All right. So let's continue on here. And we're just going to, this will be the third column. So it'll be 3, 6, and 9. All right, so we have those. All we have is the 2 diagonals. And so our diagonals are going to be, so it's going to be 1, 5, and 9. And then our other diagonal, whoops, it's got to be in here. Okay, so our other diagonal is going to be 3, 5, and 7. And then we're going to come down to the very bottom here after our for loop. If it goes through all of this and it doesn't find anything, then it is going to be false. So now we can go back up here that we've read our test. We can go back up here. So after we make a move, then we can do if, and then we will say check winner, and then we're going to pass player. And so if this is the case, then we're going to output something that says you win. And then we will also go ahead and set done equal to true, because we're stopping the loop. Now we'll come down here and we'll do the exact same thing pretty much for our here. So we're going to check it here, and we'll say check winner. We're going to pass it the computer symbol, and then if it won, we're going to output, and we'll put computer win, and then we will stop the game again. So we will have this is equal to true, and the game stops. So let's play now, and let's see what happens. So again, I'm gonna do X, I'm gonna do tails this time, and let's see, he picked number 2, I'm gonna pick 5, and then okay, so I'm gonna do 4, and then I'm gonna do 6, and I won. Perfect. Now, this is where we're going to leave it off this video. In the next video, let's make it a little more interesting. Let's do, we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to make it so that the computer can block our moves. So we will do that in the next video. So we will see you in the next video.